Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Guess what? The weather here where I am is so beautiful today. I decided to try something different. As you can tell, I'm not in the kitchen, I'm outside. So, being outside, you know there are environmental noises. So I'm gonna ask you to bear with me on those because when you're outside, that's really part of the environment, right? So, I'm glad to be outside and I hope you're glad to see me outside. In terms of today's topic, I got another good one for you today. Let me start out by asking you, when was the last time you had a really good cup of coffee? I don't mean coffee that's good because you loaded it with creamers or sugars or other flavorings. No. I'm talking about coffee that is so good that you cannot wait to get up the next morning to brew it. The type of coffee that captivates you from the moment you open the container until it goes down your esophagus and into your belly. If it's been a while, I've got a few recommendations for you today. And these are recommendations based on what I like, and I'm going to give them to you in the order or ranking that I like. Before I do that, I need you to understand that I am in no way suggesting that these are the best coffees in the world. I can't do that. Nobody can, because there are far too many offerings out there. Having said that, from what I've experienced with coffee, these are three that I like and I want to share with you. So some of you I'm introducing these coffees to, and to others, there's probably a thing or two that you can tell me about the coffees. All right, so without any further ado, let's get started. First up, my choice number 3, Caffè Bustelo. Take a look at that. This is a very finely ground espresso type coffee that happens, by the way, to be one of the leading coffee brands in many Latino households around the world. I discovered this coffee primarily because of its bright packaging. Take a look at those eye-catching colors. When I saw this in the grocery store, this package screamed, "Try me." I did so 10, 12, 13 years ago, and I have never looked back. Whenever I want a bold, smooth, delicious cup of coffee, this is what I reach for. Whenever I want an espresso made at home, this is the coffee that I choose to use. This coffee also is very affordable to be so darn good. This brick here you can find in most grocery stores anywhere from $5 to $8. Now, in addition to their original roast, they also have special varieties that come anywhere from Brazil, Colombia, Nicaragua, and a few other places. So, in conclusion, this is definitely a brand that I think you should try. If you do, and you find that it's a little too bold for your taste, there are ways to smooth that out. I've got a video that's called Egg Coffee. This happens to be a very good candidate for egg coffee. And it is essentially where you add raw eggs to the coffee grounds. I know that may sound a little unconventional, but if you take a look at either my left or right side, you'll see a window that pops out that has a link to that video. When you get time, take a look at it. But first, try the coffee. And again, if it's a little too bold for you, try the recipe that I've laid out in my video for making this a little bit smoother. If by chance you want some historical information on the company, I'll put a link down in the description box below. Take a look at it at your convenience, okay? Definitely a brand that I recommend you try. This is my choice number 3, Caffè Bustelo. Next up, my number 2 choice, Gevalia. This is a coffee that I have been drinking well over 20 years. Let me tell you how these folks got me hooked on their coffee. They had advertisements at the time that said, hey, we've got all of these different varieties of coffee, and if you give our subscription service a try, because at that time that was the only way to get this coffee, they said, we'll give you a free coffee maker. I subscribed and never looked back. In fact, I used that darn coffee maker until it would not work anymore. The folks that produced this coffee likes to pride themselves on making what they call a premium coffee that is never bitter and always rich. That, by the way, has been my experience. I've never had a bad cup of Gevalia coffee. They have many varieties that are usually associated with either a season or a holiday, which is certainly can be a reason to try the coffee. In terms of where their varieties or their beans are sourced from, they get them from everywhere. I mean, Colombia, Brazil, Kenya, Guatemala, Costa Rica, and a few other countries. This brand is popular around the world, but especially in Europe. This is one that I would definitely recommend you try. I'd say start out with the house blend first. If you like that, then branch out to try some of the other varieties. It's available in grocery stores all over. Now, this is also rather affordable. I think you can get about an 12 ounce package for right around $8. So it's certainly affordable for what they would describe as a premium coffee. I strongly suggest you try it. In fact, if you had the boss coming over for dinner and you wanted a promotion, break out the Gevalia. So try it, and if you do, tell me in the comment section below what you thought about the coffee. If you want some historical information on the company that produces this, I'll put a link in the description box below. Okay, my number 2 choice, Gevalia. Next up, my number 1 choice, Intelligentsia. So before I tell you more about this particular coffee, I've got to tell you a little story about how I came to like this so much. So several years back, I was at a gala at a hotel. After dinner, they served coffee. The coffee was so good that I would have stayed at that hotel just so I could drink the coffee. Needless to say, since I didn't know what brand coffee it was, I had no way of finding it. Fast forward a few years after that, my buddy and I were out in a very rural area at a golf course. When we got done golfing, we went to a country western bar and had pulled pork sandwiches and a whole bunch of other delicious food. And afterwards, they served us coffee. Guess what it tasted like? Just like that great coffee that I had had at that super fine hotel. But again, didn't know the name, didn't know how to find it, and I couldn't get a server to tell me that it was this coffee. All right, let's fast forward a couple more years. I have a neighbor who does not drink coffee, but he's often given coffee as gifts. Hey, did you guys hear that? I told you I was outside and you'd hear environmental noises. So I don't know if you heard the motorcycle and the high school band over to my right, and then you hear someone working over there to my left. Forget them, we're outside, back to my story. Anyway, so he was given this coffee as a gift. And he came over and he said, hey Daryl, I know you like coffee. How about you take this coffee because I really don't drink it. So I went, oh, okay. When I cracked open the bag, I went like, wow, that's special. When I had my first taste, it was like, I found it and didn't even know that I'd found it. This is the coffee that I had searched for years. This coffee is so good. This is the type of coffee that I would say, if Jesus had come back and said, hey, I'm about to make a decision on your future, fix me a cup of coffee. This is what you serve. This is really just that good. The folks that produce this coffee like to say that they pride themselves on making a coffee that is certified organic, very rich, and shows their obsession with quality. I've only been drinking this a couple of years, but I've never had a bad cup of Intelligentsia coffee. In terms of where they source their beans from, everywhere. Let's see, Ethiopia, Bolivia, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Rwanda, and a few other places. And again, for them to get beans from so many different places, I've never had a bad cup of Intelligentsia coffee. Now, this one is going to be just a little bit more than the other two brands. For an 8-ounce bag, I think you're going to pay probably around $13, $14, $15 US for it, but it's certainly worth it. This is a coffee I would absolutely suggest you try, and I don't think that you will look back. Lastly, I don't believe in saving things for a special day, but this is like a special coffee. So this is my number one choice. They have many different varieties, especially some that are seasonal. I would recommend you start with the house blend. Do the house blend first, and if you like it, and if you feel about it the way I do, then branch off to some of the other varieties. In terms of a little information about the company that produces it, I've got a link down in the description box. Check that out when you have time, okay? All right, so again, Intelligentsia. This is my number one choice. Okay, folks, so there you have my 3 recommendations for coffees that I think you ought to try. There's one thing that I want to point out to you and make very clear. None of these companies sponsored this video. In fact, this video is in no way sponsored. These are just coffees that I discovered, that I like, and that I want to share with you. Now, as I said earlier, all of these coffees are available in grocery stores all over. If by chance you cannot find one of them and you want to try them, or you just don't feel like going outside, you can order it from Amazon. I've made it clear to you many times in videos before that I am an Amazon affiliate, so I will put an affiliate link down in the description box. If by chance you choose to order from Amazon, I will get a few pennies back from each order. I take that money and I plow it right back into the channel. And again, I self-fund my channel. So there you have it. If you've got a recommendation for a coffee that you think I should try, or maybe even review on the show, or that other subscribers ought to try, put a note down in the comment section. Tell us what the coffee brand is and tell us why we ought to try it. Okay? Now, let's keep this video short. So, come closer, y'all. Help me out. Ready? Here we go. Help brother out. Subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend or two. All right. See you folks on the next video. Cue the music and bye-bye.